Hello, and welcome to Go My Favorite Sports Team, the podcast about sports, where you learn everything from the blade's thickness of a bobsled to other things. I don't remember anything else besides the blade's thickness of a bobsled. Okay. And for some reason, that's in my brain.
Okay, so you learn about sports, you learn about details of it, but this has been brought up multiple times, and you've complained about me saying the measurements and the stats of these particular things. But for people that are listening on audio only that don't have a visual reference, measurements help you visualize the actual sizes of these fields and these objects and these things that people have to use in order to participate in the sport. I think it's very important to give people that ability to physically visualize it. Isn't it more important
when you're doing a primer to tell them, like, it's got two sharp metal blades at the bottom, like a physical description of, like, I don't even know what a bobsled looks like. I don't even know. But I know it's got like a blade thickness of whatever, yada yada yada.
It looks like a tubular sled. It looks like a pill that people sit in.
Okay. That's a better description. That's a better description for a primer and a baby. And a baby would understand that. It looks like a pill. Because if there's one thing babies know, it's pills.
What babies? Why do babies know pills?
I don't know. Just seemed like something to say. I often say things loud and exclamatory with confidence, and I'm hoping that it comes across like I know what I'm talking about.
Fair. Also, welcome those on Spotify. You can actually see us now. You're not just an elegant listener. You're now an elegant viewer.
Maybe. It just depends on if this is all working properly.
Hopefully it is.
Well, unless Tyler messed up the settings, which who knows? Maybe not. Maybe. But either way, we're trying.
Yes. Hopefully it's exactly how it's supposed to be. I meant to ask you if I needed to adjust to the higher quality or not, but I'm sure it's fine.
Did you adjust to the higher quality?
It's on the recommended 720. Should I switch?
720? 720? 720?
Listen, it was recommending different stuff based on whether your internet is good, and your internet hasn't been the greatest where you are. It's been okay.
I'm so sorry, viewers, who have to look at us in awful 720p. 720?
That's what
720? How many pixels? 1280 by 720. That's only 921,600 pixels versus 1920 by 1080. What? Math it. Why would it do 1280 by 1080? Versus 2,073,600 glorious pixels.
Well, I didn't listen. This is my first time messing with this program and setting it up, and nobody gave me any guidelines. You didn't even tell me what program it was. I had to go talk to Bob.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I've never used it before. Bob usually sets it up for me. I don't do anything with this, so I've never used it. All right, but today marks a momentous occasion or something like that.
Yeah, today is the preview for CreatorClash 2.
CreatorClash 2, yes. Last year, we did an episode talking about the aftermath of the CreatorClash, and if you don't know what the CreatorClash it is a charity event where creators are going to box. I have my own reservations about creators boxing, but the last one went fairly well, and we did an episode about it, and I'm also going to be at the pre and post show apparently.
You're one of the hosts of the pre and post show. You and Sean.
Yeah, apparently.
Who in a previous episode was showering in the background while we're recording.
Yes, absolutely.
You should know about this event. Tell people about the event. You're a part of the event this year.
Why would I know about the event?
All right, fine. Then I'll just do current events, and you can figure out what the event's about.
What am I supposed to do? How do you think that there's just a place that has more information about it than you or I have? What do you think I have? I have nothing. I've got nothing. You think they give me anything? They probably wanted to, but then I didn't get on the call to talk about it before because I was too busy. That's true.
I mean, that is true. That does make sense. But let's talk about current events, and then we'll jump into what the CreatorClash is.
Okay, current events.
So a while ago, the World Baseball Classic happened, and that's a major event because it brings multiple nations across the world to come and play baseball. Some areas where baseball hasn't been that popular, like the U.S. has been the forefront of baseball. We created baseball. It's an America's pastime, which just means we created it for us, and it's been longstanding in the history of the U.S. But Japan and the fans in Japan has really adopted the sport. And so in the final, Japan was facing off against the United States, and Japan beat the U.S. 3-2. But not only did they win, they won with two teammates facing off against each other at the plate, with Otani, who's a pitcher who also bats for the Angels, against Mark Trout, who is an elite athlete in Major League Baseball, also on the Angels. He struck him out to win the game, and it was just like one of the best pitchers in baseball versus one of the best batters in baseball to determine the result of the game, and that rarely happens. And so it was just immense, and the difference in the celebration between the broadcast that was going to Japan and the broadcast in the US was insane. Like the shouting and excitement and everything over in Japan was absolutely wonderful to see. And on top of that, as a person who's loved baseball and played baseball for a long time, the way Japan plays baseball is how I like baseball being played. The way baseball should be played, in my opinion. And so seeing them win and stomp on the U.S. when they changed Major League Baseball to have universal DHs in both sides of the leagues, it was great to see. I was so happy to see that.
It was good to see?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I don't know what the difference is between baseball in Japan and the U.S., but I also know baseball is big in Korea as well. Koreans love baseball, and especially my cousin. He's a real big fan of baseball. But I don't know what the differences are, so if you could inform me.
I mean, I currently don't have the knowledge to explain the exact details of the differences. The biggest one is like the way baseball used to be played was like small ball, where you would go up to the plate and you'd want to advance the runners. So you'd be able to bunt, you'd swing and do hit and runs, you'd do various different types of play to where it wasn't about home run or bust, which the U.S. has become home run or bust because everybody loves the big hit. And so a lot of the like fundamental elements of baseball have been lost. I've seen like Billy Hamilton, who's one of the fastest runners in baseball history, couldn't bunt. And he could bunt to get on base because of how fast he was and the amount of immense impact he had when he was on base, because the pitcher was so scared of him stealing, and same with the catcher, that it actually forced errors. It made it easier for the batter to hit because they refused to throw off-speed pitches because they knew if they threw off-speed, he'd easily reach stealing second base. And so in Japan, they use a lot of those old school elements where instead of home run or bust, they hit in bunches. Everybody steps up to the plate and hits. The pitchers hit. It's more of a team unity when you're running through the cycle as opposed to just batter versus pitcher. And if I hit a home run or hit multiple base hits, they actually use the elements of the hit and run. They use the elements of stealing. They use the elements of bunting to advance the runner. Just the style of play is more reminiscent of traditional baseball and how baseball was played when I loved baseball. Like how the Big Red Machine, the Cincinnati Reds, one of the most famous teams in baseball history, played. And so that's the unique difference between the two, is just how it's played as opposed to like necessarily rule differences that I can pull off the top of my head.
So it's almost like it's good that Japan won because it showed the U.S. that it can create a really exciting environment if it's played with more of the strategic element as opposed to always swinging for the fences. Is that what I'm getting out of that?
That was a great takeaway. Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool to see, because I know you complain a lot about the current state of baseball, and I can totally see about how in America a lot of things are just like, is it bigger? It's better then, and that could be like the big takeaway for everybody watching it, as opposed to in between all those big moments are people really bored, waiting for like, oh, the next thing. But if there was more strategy going on, then people could follow like the nuances of it. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, it makes more excitement throughout the entire game as opposed to, oh, it's a home run, yeah, really excited, now we're bored because everybody's striking out.
Yeah,
so that's the differences. In other news, the NCAA women's basketball tournament just finished recently with LSU knocking off Iowa in the final. Neither of them were a number one seed. Both had advanced back against odds against a number one seed, a higher seeded team, including Iowa knocking off South Carolina, which was the absolute favorite to win this year and were the defending champions and had not lost a single game this season. And Iowa was led by Caitlin Clark, who is now officially the highest scoring player in a single NCAA women's basketball tournament.
How many points?
Huh?
How many points?
So I don't know the total points off the top of my head. I'll try and look that up here in a second. But I was going to talk about the last 3 games. So when Iowa was in the Elite Eight, she dropped a 41-point triple-double, which means she had 10 rebounds and 12 assists, along with 41 points scored.
Is that the record?
No, that's a single game. And then followed that one in the Final Four with another 41-point game.
Uh-huh.
And then in the finals, dropped 30 points in their loss to LSU. Caitlin Clark, points, 191.
109 in one game?
No, in a single NCAA tournament through all the games that they played.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, and considering she scored 112 of those in the last 3 games.
Oh, damn. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What is the rest of the team doing? Why are they picking up the ball every once in a while?
They do. She got assists. She had 12 assists in the triple-double, which means she passed the ball to somebody and then they scored.
Okay, so she's just that good that they give her the ball and then she can score.
Correct. She has elite range. People have compared her to the Steph Curry of women's basketball because she's shooting basically 5 to 10 feet behind the arc and still draining it.
Okay, cool.
Which is incredible. In NCAA men's basketball, we have the Battle of the Coasts for the championship with UConn, University of Connecticut, against San Diego State University.
And I'm guessing UConn's on the coast.
Well, UConn's on the East Coast. It's in Connecticut. Connecticut is a coastal state, whereas San Diego State is on the West Coast in California.
Connecticut. You ever just forget a state exists?
You know somebody from Connecticut.
Who do I know from Connecticut?
Evan.
Oh.
He actually went to UConn, dude.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah. Connecticut. Yeah. That exists. Mm-hmm. Go on.
So in that final, and Will, this is a part where you edit so that I'm saying who actually won. UConn won! San Diego State won!
Will, don't edit that. No! Like, point him out for him trying to play both sides.
No!
Here, I'm just going to make one call, and I'm going to be like, yay, San Diego! Woo, 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 woo! And then I'm going to put it all on the line, and you'll see how embarrassed he'll be. Because even if I'm wrong, at least I stuck to my guns.
Yeah, but it's not about being wrong or right. It's about being accurate to the news because this episode's coming out after the championship game.
News, whatever. All right, well, whatever have you. All right. Any more news?
Those were the major current events I just wanted to talk about because some people were coming at me about not talking about the World Baseball Classic. If you want to know further news going way back to last year, but because we took the break, I didn't talk about it, Argentina won the Soccer World Cup. And I think I mentioned it briefly, but people have been mad that I haven't talked about it. With Lionel Messi being his final year playing in the World Cup and actually retiring from soccer upon the World Cup ending. So him winning the World Cup in his final year of playing soccer was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, I'm thinking, yes. Is that pretty cool?
Yeah, he's exiting on top, Mark.
Ah, I see.
You know, something Tom Brady didn't do.
I don't know. Once you're the best of all time, you kind of don't lose that. So you just kind of retain that for all time. And, you know, it doesn't matter what it comes after. So. In other news, the CreatorClash!
Woo! The second one!
The second CreatorClash 2. All right. So I watched the original CreatorClash, as many listeners probably know. In this next one, we have a new lineup, but we have some familiar faces. So I say we just go, if you go to the website and you can see like all the fighter matchups that are going to be there. And then we can just go up from there. This is actually going to be great because I haven't done any research for the pre-show. So I'm just basically going to recite everything I say here at the pre-show. And I'll be like, yeah, I did my research. Of course I did.
Cool.
Everything's fine. fine.
So for those of you watching or listening to the podcast right now, the Creator Clash is a charity event where it pins content creators, both across YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, against each other in boxing. This year, there's a bigger lineup than there was last year. There's more fighters. It's happening in Tampa Bay. Well, it's happening at Amalie Arena, which is where I was for the Stanley Cup. And it's happening on April 15th. That is the official fight date. And it was organized by iDubbbz and his wife. They created the event, and it was extremely successful last year with some really impactful fights that we talked about in the podcast. And so they decided to have a second one, and it's even bigger and honestly, in my opinion, looks to be even better. The lineup is star-studded. It's the matchups. They're looking at weight classes. They look like they've really toned in, and the training level, because some of the people that are returning have more experience now, is just going to be at a higher level.
Yeah. I think that's good that more people are coming in and having been trained. There are other people that probably have less training because they're new faces. And there's some people here that I know and many that I don't. It's going to be embarrassing because I don't know. I am so out of touch when it comes to actual creators out there in the world. I didn't know them many years ago, and I still don't know them now because I don't pay attention to anything except what I'm doing, and I'm kind of just like lost in my own world of whatever the hell is going on at any given moment. However, I'm going to make bold proclamations here based on I'm going to judge books by their covers, and that's what I'm going to do when it comes down to this.
All right.
Really, I don't know.
All right, so I'm going to lead you into the first fight we're going to talk about because I have them in the order that was listed, that I think is actually the order of which the fights are going to go. I might be wrong,
okay,
but I did a little bit of research last night to try and figure out what order. And the first one is going to be Dad against Starkilla, or AB.
Where are you finding this list?
esports.gg.
That sounds fake. But whatever way we go, it doesn't matter. We're probably going to be wrong across all things.
It's true. But Dad led off last year, so I think it'd be fitting if Dad, also known as Nathan Barnett, he would lead off this time. So on the website, interestingly enough, it lists them both as having the same height, but in last year's Creator Clash, AB was listed at 5'10", while Dad was listed at 6 foot. So I don't know if they're actually going to be the same height.
Yeah, I don't think someone can just spontaneously grow unless they got the leg lengthening surgery, which would be bold. It's a bold surgery to get before a boxing match. I'm wondering if they're just trying to make the fight seem more even, but I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I mean, sure, maybe they got the height inaccurate last time. I have no idea.
Maybe.
The weight strikes me as different because they say that the fight weight for Dad is 170 and then AB is 170. I believe AB fought near that fight before, but Dad fought Matt Watson, which was at a much lighter weight. So I'm guessing that either Dad put on pounds or that's just what they're listing it as.
I think that's definitely the weight they have to be under because they're actually doing weigh-ins and everything to try and make sure that they're even.
Honestly, good. Yeah, we don't want any outmatched people. We don't want any big disparities in weight classes. So I am glad that things are going to be a lot more close to what they should be in terms of fighting people on an even footing. So, do you want to go through this and kind of break down what we think is going to happen in there? Do we want to kind of feel it out?
Well, first of all, Dad, he's a YouTuber, comedian, actor, musician, kind of known for doing multiple different facets on the internet, with music videos to comedy videos and sketches, but he definitely acts and has created multiple different characters that are very unique, whereas AB is from the H3 podcast. And so both of these guys fought last year. Mark, if you want to, you watched this a lot more closely than I did. I watched the full video a little bit last night, but what did you see from Dad and AB last year?
What I remember seeing from Dad is he came out heavy and he came out fast, and that's kind of like his strategy in that fight. If you could call it a strategy, it is a strategy to come out swinging, and that's exactly what he did. He really didn't come out with what in traditional boxing would be a lot of discipline and pacing. He came out trying to overwhelm and just with as much energy as possible. And it worked. It definitely worked. But he was throwing haymakers. So what I would like to see is more controlled boxing, because when he was coming wide, he was swinging And for those watching on Spotify, no, he was swinging like this, which is not the best strategy. You can throw some powerful punches with you, like really just, but for a trained boxer really being able to defend themselves and duck around it, it's a lot easier to stay in and small as opposed to big and wide. Big and wide is kind of a death sentence when it comes to boxing. It depends on the circumstance, of course, but for the most part it is. But I bet with a year of training, if that is what Dad has done in this time, like, which who knows, probably, I mean,
according to his socials and everything else that I watched yesterday, he has been putting in the work and training really hard. He's actually been training with the WWE guy that's fighting this year as well, or not the WWE, former WWE professional wrestler.
Yeah, so I would not doubt that any of these fighters that came from last year have put in additional training in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just to get back into shape, they have put in additional training, so I would expect them to be a little more disciplined. AB, I believe, during his fight was much more controlled, was a bit more refined, was a bit more elegant in terms of his form. But I wouldn't say like obviously none of these people are professional boxers. They don't like box at a level where they need to compete to an extreme degree. This is still a charity exhibition type match.
Yeah.
It is for charity and it's supposed to be like with that in mind. And I hope people keep that like understanding. So I doubt that he would be as overwhelmed with the offense, because if this was any other match, obviously you do your research on your opponent and you see what they're doing and you see the type of training they do. So you would train to try to counter what you think they're going to do. And if Dad comes out swinging again, I'm going to predict that it's not going to work as effectively for as quick a knockout if AB has done the training to counter that. And if they have, then that means that it's going to be a longer fight, and it's going to turn into a fight that sees more how Dad's endurance can hold up and how his longevity can hold up, because like AB is a lot younger than Dad.
Yeah, Dad's
I'm not sure the age
41 or 42, and I think AB is like 30.
Yeah, so and like being in your 40s, you can still be pretty athletic and you can still be very conditioned, and that's all good. And it seems like Dad's probably in great shape and will probably be okay. But age is a factor, and age does have an effect, and you do recover less. And a lot of longer fights in terms of boxing are how fast you can recover as opposed to how much damage you can deal out or how you can pace your energy supply. It is a game of energy because when you're tired, you lose reaction speed, you lose ability to defend yourself, you lose ability to even hold your hands up after a long period of time becomes more difficult. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a longer, more controlled fight that sees the skill of the training that both of these probably put in over the year.
So watching the videos that I've seen of their training and stuff, I watched last year's fight of AB's and I watched last year's of Dad's. Dad never had to take a hit. Period. He didn't get hit once in his fight. The match was over real quick. He came out with a lot of energy. Like you said, the endurance is going to be a question. But he does have that drug-fueled rage on his side, like you said last year, and how he came out against Matt. Very obviously has the training, and like in full fairness, comparing him to AB, in my opinion, while he was swinging wild and throwing haymaker after haymaker and leaving himself open, he had power behind his punches. When I was watching AB's fight, his fight got called because of endurance on his side. He actually got so winded that he was leaning against his opponent, and the official called the fight because he just couldn't defend himself. And so, like you said, this fight may very well come down to endurance. But AB was able to take some serious hits last year and fight through them. However, I question whether he has the switch that kind of Dad has to go into a fight to be a brawler. But AB has also said in a video that he's out to avenge Matt Watson from last year because they're friends.
Which is fair. That's a big motivation. And I think like it'll be an interesting fight. I think like last year, I said like personally when I was watching, like the first fight is going to set the tone of the whole night. And that really set the tone of the whole night when Dad and Matt Watson's fight happened there, and it was as intense as it was. I think this is going to if this is the first one, it is again going to set the tone for the night, but I think it's going to be a slightly different tone.
Yeah. So who are you hedging your bet on?
I mean, if Dad's done his training, he definitely is a threat. There's the kind of intimidation factor. He's probably going to be the crowd favorite. Everyone's going to be like, ooh, he's going to rip him apart. But I think if AB has trained specifically to counter Dad, then he has a lot more potential to do that, because there is an opportunity to exploit, especially if Dad hasn't honed his ability down there. But I haven't seen any of the training footage, so I have no idea, honestly.
Well, I think Dad has the advantage on this one. I think he has the height. I think he has the reach. While he is a bit older, I think his work ethic, especially in fitness, seems to be higher than AB's from what I've seen. And while both of them are both amateur boxers, I think Dad has continued his training, whereas AB originally had said at the end of CreatorClash 1 that he wasn't going to do it again, and then came on to do it again. So I think there was a bit of a lull with AB. And I also think Dad just has that edge of potential killer instinct that you kind of have to have when you go into a boxing match.
Yeah, you can't deny that. The attitude is everything going into it. And if you go into something with extreme confidence, there is definitely an advantage to be had. But I also, I am never one to discount someone who has been in the ring before, especially in the first CreatorClash, and has put up a fight and has taken hits before. It is going to be different. I don't know if it's going to be different enough.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good fight. I feel like Dad will be a little more reserved. He's not going to come out in the same way that he did. And I think AB is going to be more technically sound compared to last year, especially as he focused further. And I think he's definitely going to have worked on his cardio, especially having that been the reason that he lost last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next fight on this list is Myth versus Hundar.
Okay, Myth versus Hundar.
Hundar fought AB last year. And
Hundar was good.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about Hundar is he didn't move his head a lot last time. He was very rigid, but he's a strong dude. I mean, he's known for his channel Muscle Party. I mean, he has just, I don't even know how to describe his arms. They're just stone, carved and etched beams of stone ready to swing and nail somebody in the head.
Yeah, Hundar had that Kratos energy. He kind of seemed like he had a very large, intimidating presence. But also, that's something about AB going up against him. It was really well. But Hundar seemed, yes, like an Easter Island head of just like a Rock'em Sock'em robot is what I would equate him to.
I see that.
So, yeah, biff, 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 and kind of that energy. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's definitely something where you have someone with a very strong base, with a lot of conditioning, with a lot of strength behind his hits. If you hone that, you have a lot more potential there. I don't know Myth's ability to box. I don't know. He wasn't at the first CreatorClash.
No, but he does have experience boxing. He fought in Ludwig's chess boxing event.
Ah, interesting. Okay. All right. So how did he perform there?
Oh my God.
Here, I'll look at him.
He looked like a boxer. I'm not even kidding. I watched that yesterday, and he was fluid. He was agile on his feet. He was quick. He had really fast hands. He kept his hands and protected himself really well. The biggest thing is he didn't really protect his chin a lot. He kept his head up. He didn't tuck his chin. That was the vulnerability I saw. But he looked very, very agile and very technically sound for somebody who's an amateur.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at him fighting right now. Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Myth is a streamer and content creator known for his high skills at first-person shooters like games, Valorant, Fortnite, stuff like that. He kind of came onto the scene, I think, when Fortnite, I think he competed professionally with Fortnite. He is lean and fast.
I wouldn't call him fast. He's quicker than the other fighters that I've seen, but compared to I'm talking in a professional level, he's from just what I'm seeing, and obviously I'm only seeing 30 seconds of this fight, so I can't speak incredibly about someone's boxing ability from only seeing one little clip, but I'm watching it so far, and what he is good at though is what you're saying. He's bringing his hands back.
Yeah.
So he fights left hand forward, very front stance, so he's really toned in there. He does have a tendency when he's going for hooks to drop his other hand, which is not a good thing. You want to keep that defense in there, but he does have good ability to roll with a punch. I would rather see him try to catch a punch or like do something, because he's always getting hit with it, but he's rolling with it. This isn't really going to come down to scoring. I know none of these fights are really going to come down to the scorecard. Well, some of them might, of course. But I definitely yeah, you're absolutely right. When it comes down to someone who is not a professional boxer, he does show a lot of like, he's practiced some very core disciplinary stuff.
Yeah.
I think that his punches do have a little bit of a tendency of predictability of like, I'm about to punch,
Yep. He
which
rears
is where
back
I mean
a little
like
bit.
he does rear back a little bit, and that's why I'm like, he's not fast, but he could get faster if he gets that muscle. It's all muscle memory, because when you got to think to bring back here, and you got to think like, I'm gonna punch and keep this up, that does slow you down a bit. And it's all just like, this is just time and practice kind of that gets these instincts faster and faster. But he is able to dodge. He is able to see them coming, the hits coming. He doesn't flinch. He is moving and bobbing out of the way. So it's a lot of good potential there. I think that's a good matchup between someone who is an Easter Island man and versus someone who can move around. I would say, I don't know if the muscle mass difference between these two fighters is significant. I don't know where he is right now, but if looking at what it was with Hundar last year, Myth in that fight I saw 3 months ago, I'm like, there is a distinct muscle mass difference. So there's a lot different power between those punches. So it's like, that's where I'm like, if he's rolling with punches and he's not quick enough, he's just going to get punched in the head with a lot of strength behind it. You can roll off a lot, but if you're not really, really quick on the rolls, you're still getting hit. And that can do damage over a long period of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, Myth has had a tendency in that fight to showboat, leaving himself open. Like, when he went into the corner, he fully dropped his hands and was like, I'm going to dodge everything. Which, if you can, great, but you're leaving yourself very exposed.
I mean, his opponent in this match that I'm seeing is not much, but like shorter than him. So there is a reach mismatch here, and so he can have the comfort of being like, I can dodge this, because the distance is easier to gauge when you know your opponent does not have that reach. So it does allow for, I mean, it's not a huge difference, but even a few inches of height means a few inches of reach. That's a whole fist, and knowing that you have that comfortable gap means that they have to lean in farther, which means you can stay more upright and you can counter easier with there. So I can get that showboating. I don't think he can pull that off with Hundar, especially considering Hundar has fought in the last one, has had a year of training, if they've been doing it right.
So
it'll be an interesting.
Their height is relatively the same.
So that's another thing that's going to be interesting, because Hundar is going to be tall. I'm talking about the last opponent.
I
don't know who he was fighting in the one.
For me on that one, it's definitely very interesting, the difference between the two. Hundar definitely has more upper body muscle mass and has the intimidation factor that's there. And Myth kind of has, from what I watched from the chess boxing, the video I actually watched was him reacting to his own boxing. And he has an ego, which a lot of boxers do. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe you're going to win. But that can also get in the way in allowing yourself to be more vulnerable when it comes to the hits. So this one seems like a battle between more agile quickness and power. And so it's really hard to determine who's going to win. If it ends based on TKO, I fully believe it would be Hundar that takes the victory. But if it ends on being scoring at the end of the match, I think Myth has the advantage.
Yeah, I believe that Myth could probably get in more hits. That's how I would do that match if I was in Myth's shoes.
Yeah.
I would try to dodge, hit quick, get points, get back, stay away, tire him out. Like, that's probably the better way to go about this match, because you're not gonna go punch for punch when someone has that much more muscle. So you use your leanness and your quickness to your advantage, and you just train for that. But then again, I'm not boxing.
On my perspective, I'm going to predict that Myth is going to win because he has that targeting capability. He's got that gamer mentality. He's a first-person shooter. He's going to find his way through the defense to get those headshots and body shots.
I might put my money on Hundar, because if he goes for the body and gets some good hits on the ribs and liver of Myth, like, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. And that pain really wears someone down. So I would go for the body, and then just like, it doesn't matter how much quicker they are. If you can get a good shot on like liver, it makes it very difficult for someone to breathe.
Yeah, chop down the tree.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
So the next fight we're looking at is Mika versus Alana Pierce.
Okay. I know Mika has been training like crazy.
Yeah, I do too.
I know Alana has been training very significantly. So this is an interesting matchup, but I don't know Alana's training regimen. I just know a little bit more about Mika's.
But remember, Alana's Australian. Everything in Australia is out to kill you. So,
but Alana's not in Australia anymore.
I know.
So
Alana lives in LA now.
Yeah, I really have no idea. This is kind of just like one of those matchups where I could see it going either way.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is actually a very even, very fair matchup. They're both very strong.
Yeah.
Too. I think, was it Mika that? No, it was Alana that posted a picture that was like
flexing
yeah. in the one. I'm like, it might be bigger than my bicep. Like, what the
right?
fuck? Yeah, and then Mika, I think, also had a picture that was similar. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, oh God. But yeah, I would. This is an even matchup for me. I don't know who is going to win this one. We have two new fighters from CreatorClash. I've never seen them fight before. I have no idea how this is going to go.
I also have not seen many training videos from either of them. They've been pretty quiet on posting stuff and showing what they're doing. The biggest thing that I did see, though, is that the winner gets to cuddle the loser. That's their kind of gamble, is like whoever wins cuddles the other one for comfort, because they are friends.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of respect walking into the ring, and it's going to come down to who is willing to punch the other one more.
Yeah, and that is how it comes down when you are friends and you're like have to throw down. It is kind of a thing where you got to put your friendship aside for a little bit, but also not too much, because it's like, if I'm going into a boxing match, which I'm not, and I don't want to, but if I'm going into a boxing match with, say, like you, I don't want to hit you very hard. I wouldn't want to hit you very hard at all. I would just play it technically. I would just try to score points. I would try to dodge, and I would try to play the fight with that. And I'm hoping that's how they're going to approach this, is they're playing for points, and they're playing like, I don't want anyone in this entire fight to be going for a knockout.
Yeah.
That's not what this event is about in my mind. That's not what I want to see. I want to see like technical skill. I want to see good guards. I want to see no brain damage. I want to see people walking out of this ring, and I want to see people like giving it their all, going the distance in terms of all the rounds, and getting down to the nitty-gritty of how much did you train? How much did you technically gain in terms of your skills and abilities for boxing? And I think this is a great matchup that's going to show a lot of that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when I was looking at this is, for whatever reason, Mika gives me this mentality that she's been in a fight before. Like, not a boxing match, but like I feel like she's like punched somebody out in middle school or something. I don't know why, but Mika's got that kind demeanor, but also like could potentially have that mean streak that in the past. And so, but Alana being from Australia, I feel like probably dealt with, and I don't know how long Alana was in Australia, but something about Australians just make me think they have that they got beat up, and they beat people up. I don't know what it is. Something about that accent, and having been there with all the different creatures that exist that can kill people. There's some hardness that comes with being Australian, and I don't know why.
All right, man. I can't speak to that, but sure.
So I think the audience is the winner of this fight.
Yeah, I am less open-minded. Like, I am literally just thinking it's going to be the one that trained the most is going to win, and I'm not sure who did that, because I don't know their training.
Yeah. Next, we go into Aaron Hansen versus Jarvis Johnson. Aaron obviously fought in last year's CreatorClash, going against Hundar, or not Hundar. What's his name? He's a giant.
Harley.
Yeah, knew it started with an H. And held his own.
He did admirably well for a man that was like half a foot taller and 60 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Like, he did very well. And I know Aaron trained a lot and went into it with a lot of confidence. And it wasn't even just like a complete washout. Like, he was getting hits. He was showing technical skill. And I know he's been training ever since. So when it comes down to this one, I don't know Jarvis's boxing history. Do you know?
I tried to find stuff. I could find very little. The one thing that I saw was that what CreatorClash posted on their socials, and he looks like one of those like super nice individuals, And he even mentioned in the clip being like, yeah, I'm so scared my opponent's going to be like, hey, I'm going to whoop your butt, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just going to be like, all right, cool. That's what he said.
But I would never put anyone out like that. I would never like be like, oh no, they haven't got it. Because it's like sometimes the nicest people can flip a switch and it's like, I'll kill you, everything you know. And, you know, I would never put it against it. However, I would say just based on how much I know Aaron has been training and how much I don't see about Jarvis's, I would have to put my bet on Aaron just because that's what I know. And I can't account for things that I don't know.
I would say the same thing, especially after Aaron went against Harley last year. And the fact that he ate a number of those freight train punches that Harley was throwing his way and just kept leaning in and kept going at it and getting after it. And now he's going against somebody that's more a match to his size. He's been training longer. He's got the experience under his belt. He looks ready, and he looks like he's ready to like actually box and win.
Yeah, I'm looking at his training video on the CreatorClash Twitter right now. Aaron is showing really, really good form here. He's throwing his hooks with his guard up the entire time. It's like that, even training that instinct can take months to do, just being like, I'm gonna keep wham, and he's hitting them with speed and good repetition. He's hitting the bag with power, and he's like hitting low, hitting high. He's able to throw these punches pretty well. And I mean, again, it's like these fighters have been training for now over a year, and as soon as you get over the year mark, instead of being under a year of training, which is never enough to really train a fight at a significant level, you see the repeated discipline really ingraining themselves in the fighters, where they're able to instinctively get this guard up, know where to hit, know how to breathe when you're hitting, know when to breathe when you're throwing a punch, know where to look for when you know where you're exposed when you're throwing a punch. Those are kind of the instincts that I'm like, yes, I see him. He's definitely been keeping up with his training. Therefore, I would put I would favor him. But again, I don't know Jarvis. I can't see it. It's a mystery. He could be like a god in the ring for all I know.
He's got the advantage of that unknown factor. And what I have seen is he is able to throw his weight behind the punches. But there's so little out there, even on his socials, everywhere else. I have no idea how hard he's been getting after this. Like, I have so little information about Jarvis. And at the same time, that is an advantage. If you are unknown, you come in with nothing to lose. And you also come in being able to just come out with everything, and your opponent can't necessarily strategically plan. Jarvis has film to watch how Aaron fought last year. He has film to watch of his training, whereas Aaron, I don't think, has any of that for Jarvis, and that is an advantage.
Yeah, I would say, though, that the film of his last fight is something I wouldn't base any training off of, because he was fighting a giant.
Yes.
And he's going to be fighting completely differently when he's able to look straight ahead. You know what I mean?
Face him eye to eye instead of having to look up with the open chin. The next fight, we have Hart against Crank Gameplay's Ethan.
So it's our boy.
Yeah, it's
our boy.
I call it the Pokemon card collector versus the chaotic kid.
Okay, the chaotic man.
Chaotic man.
All right. So obviously my money's on Ethan. Doesn't even matter. I'm ride or die on Ethan. But let's analyze this from a specific way, because I know Hart has boxing background.
Hart is strong.
He's strong.
He did American Ninja Warrior once, and he did pretty well of what I saw. He's got great upper body strength. I don't know if he has the killer mentality, and I did meet him for lunch and got a little inside scoop that he hadn't taken many hits to the face, and then I watched the video where he finally did get hit in the face by his trainer, and he didn't lean in. He kind of shied away. He seemed a little bit shaken, which can happen the first time, so I don't know how much he'll be able to lean into the hits when he gets hit.
Yeah, because there's a difference between training for boxing for fitness and training for boxing for fighting. And that is a big, significant factor. And I know how hard Ethan has been taking his training. He has been training incredibly seriously for a very long time, like incredibly seriously. And so he's progressed a very long way. Obviously, like life, occurs, and, you can't train every day, but I know how much he takes it seriously. I don't know Hart personally. I don't think I might have met him at one point. I apologize if I haven't, but or I have and I forget. But when it comes down to Ethan, I know he's tough. That's one thing. He comes from a gymnast background.
Yep.
So he's used to putting in the hours, and he's used to be like being athletic, doing a lot of work, having good energy recovery. I know he has more endurance than me when he's not sick. Not six. Sick. Because it was like we did a fitness test in Unisonis and he was sick and he ran a 11-minute mile and I ran an 8 and some change. But he got pepper sprayed in the face just the same as me. He can take pain. And I know that's like, oh yeah, you get pepper sprayed, but he did it and he walked away from it. He ate like a bug that I don't think even I would have eaten. So I know he's tough and I know he's willing to go the distance. But yeah, it is that unknown factor. When you're in a fight and you're punching someone in the face, are you able to, and getting punched in the face, more importantly, are you able to just like put everything aside and unleash, really go at it? Because I know he's athletic. He's got an age gap. I don't know. How old is Leonhardt?
Leonhardt's 36.
Okay, so there's like a 10-year jump. Leonhardt, again, you can be in great shape, like above 30, but compared, I'm 33. I know that if I was going up against my 23-year-old me,
yeah,
you know, that 10-year difference, I may be stronger than 23-year-old me, but I'm not outrunning 23-year-old me. I know that. Well, okay, 23-year-old me wasn't a runner, so I didn't like running. But if I was like in the same shape now and then, I know that 23-year-old me is going to outperform me. Just like Tyler, you versus 23-year-old you. I mean, I don't know. Wait, how old were you when you outside of the surgery?
I was 20 when I had my transplant, but 23-year-old me would have been, oh God. If I went against 25-year-old me when I first moved out here to LA, when I was in Ninja Warrior shape. Yeah. Exactly. I wouldn't want to face 10 years ago me in a fight. So that is a factor. And I know he's tough. I know he's capable. I know he's strong. He's put on a lot of muscle. I know that he's been getting his mind in the right place. I know he's been punching in the face, getting punched in the face. He's been working on those, like the new experiences of it and the realities of a fight. And I know his trainer takes it seriously. Yeah. I don't know a lot about Leonhardt. And I know it's a very even match, and it could go one way or another. Like one punch in the wrong spot, and the fight totally changes. But obviously, my money's on Ethan. Yeah, Leonhardt has a reach advantage and a little bit of a size advantage. I think he's going to weigh in on the higher end of the weight than Ethan is. But Ethan, being a former gymnast, and this was the biggest thing that really brought me over, was like the amount of focus you have to be a gymnast, the dedication, the flexibility, everything involved in that. Ethan is insanely athletic. And when he chooses and sets his mind to something like he has with boxing that I've seen in there, he will dominate whatever that is. I fully expect Ethan to be the more spry fighter here. I expect his fundamentals and his skills to be there. And I think he's going to eat punches better than Leonhardt's going to eat punches. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I definitely favor Ethan in this fight as well. Especially considering which one of these two I would think would have a stronger core. Because neither of them are in the heavyweight category where I'm worried about them knocking each other out. Yeah. They can, and it could happen, but they're not so heavy that their punches are devastating, like going to guarantee knock them out. So it does come a lot down to core strength. And who's going to have more core strength? A gymnast or anyone else? Yeah. Like that core is going to be locked up, and he's going to be able to protect his ribs. He's going to be able to protect his internal organs. His breathing is going to be more controlled. And I think that counts for a lot in a fight. It's going to count for especially if he's got a reach disadvantage. That means he's going to be trying to go for the body, unless he's like, I don't know, a fight can throw everything off, and there is an instinct just like go for the head. But it does come down to a lot of like, okay, who's got the conditioning, who's going to keep the energy up. I think this fight is going to go into like probably go all the way. I would put money on this fight going all the way. If Ethan can keep his energy up, can keep his speed up, can keep the fight going, can keep his fight going, can get Leonhardt on the back foot towards the end of the fight, he's going to win on points, period. A lot of people don't know that the majority of fights are lost from breathing, from lack of breathing and breathing control. Because the instant you start losing your breathing control, you lose all power in your muscles. Your muscles get fatigued. You get fatigued. Everything falls to the wayside. And when all of that falls to the wayside, the brain function falls to the wayside. So your strategy and your ability to actually be able to react and defend yourself falls as well. Yeah, 100%. But it could go either way. Who knows? Yeah. The next fight we have is Haley Sharpe versus Marisha Ray. Yodeling Haley from last year.
Right. Okay. So Marisha Ray. Haley did great.
Oh, yeah.
Last year.
Against
Haley did
fighting
wonderfully.
Minx.
Yes. For just stepping in out of nowhere and just being able to because it was like a couple weeks before the fight, they had needed a replacement and Haley came in. Haley showed a lot of discipline, strength, was heavily outmatched.
And able to eat punches.
Yeah. And Justin Minx was definitely loose on training, loose on form, but was bigger. And Haley is wasn't able to get the damage in the hits. Honestly, if the fight could have gone very differently if Haley had kept up the discipline and just trying not to go for the head all the time and getting body shots in, could have theoretically won on points, but it ended before the fight could go the distance. And theoretically, if Haley keeps that mentality with this, I don't know Marisha Ray's training. I don't know Marisha Ray's.
So Marisha Ray is the creative director and a main cast on the show Critical Role. She's a voice actor and improviser extraordinaire. Definitely has experience role-playing a monk using flurry of blows, but is an extremely athletic build. I've seen she's done some action stunt stuff before and is lean and looks to be in great shape.
But as we know, shape doesn't always mean a boxing ability. Have you seen anything about Marisha boxing?
It's been extremely limited. Both of them, as far as seeing the training, I definitely have more video footage of Haley just because of last year's fight. But between the two of them, there's not much out there to watch. Marisha has a little bit, and her form looks good. She keeps her hands up, especially when she's swinging punches, especially a hook or a haymaker. She keeps her hands up. She's definitely seems to have some sense of martial arts background based on what I have seen. But Haley also has that mentality of she had such little lead up time and was relatively technically sound fighting against Minx. She wasn't really good at slipping punches, but she was able to eat so many hits. And just between the two body types, Haley looks to have a little bit more muscle mass in her upper body than Marisha does.
But without seeing, I saw Haley fight, really good discipline in terms of it started to lose it towards the end of the fight because she was just eating so many punches. So anyone's going to be rattled after that many hits to the head and body, and you could see the fatigue, but still came in with good discipline. I have no idea because I don't know Marisha's ability to fight, but is Haley this is going to be a very good fight.
Yeah, and Haley does have height and likely reach advantage this time as well. It's very slight, but could very well be the biggest factor, which is the only reason why I'm taking Haley is because I have more information on Haley. And I think just after fighting Minx last year, it's going to lean in and know what she's jumping into the ring for and be more prepared. So I feel like Haley just has the edge for that particular reason in my head. Marisha, there's so little out there. I have so little information, but very well could come in as an unknown and be extremely versatile, extremely quick, and fundamentally sound.
Yes, absolutely.
The next one I have is Jaelaray versus Abelina Sabrina. Jaelaray is a gamer streamer, League of Legends and Valorant in particular, whereas Abelina is a voiceover artist known for sketch comedy and pop culture vlogs.
Okay, this is going to be the featherweight fight.
Yes.
These are the lightest fighters and shortest fighters in the matchup. And with this, let me just
I think they're both 5'2".
It says 5'2" for both of them. They're fighting in the 115, which is, that's light. That's very, very light. So what you can expect in that is speed, not power. So it does come down just to technicality. However, last year, the featherweight fight with,
was it Michael Reeves? Was that the featherweight?
Yeah, Michael Reeves and who was the other guy?
Oh, gosh.
The money guy on YouTube.
Graham Stefan.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not Stefan.
Or Steven.
Who knows?
But it's A-N at the end, which is why I say Stefan.
Either way, that was the featherweight fight of the last one. Not specifically featherweight, unless that is the featherweight class. Featherweight is
Graham Stevens.
under 126. So even that was not quite featherweight. I think they were a little over that. But this one is the featherweight. And what you have with this fight is going to be down to technicals or who like taps, because we have completely omitted the idea that someone can tap, and that's what happened to Graham last year, was that he tapped after getting too many punches in the face, which I understand.
Yeah,
know your limits. There's no shame in anyone tapping in this fight. It's for charity. It's basically an exhibition. I think it is an exhibition fight, so it's like, I don't know either of these fighters, could go either way. I have no idea.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I did a thing, dropped out of CreatorClash 2 for safety because he experienced a concussion in training and was just like, hey, just for my own sake and safety, I'm dropping out. So throwing in the towel, there's nothing wrong with that. Protecting yourself is the most important when it comes to these types of situations. You don't want long-term damage coming from this. This is a charity event. It's for fun. It's for entertainment, and it's for raising money for good causes. It's admirable that you jump into the ring to begin with. Throwing in the flag and tapping out is not at all anything bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Totally fine.
Jaelaray, the information that I have, I've looked up some research. Jaelaray's training seems to be very passionate about fitness and really seems to have fallen in love with boxing, which means if she's enjoying the training, I think she's going to be very prepared. And she had a flexing video that I found, and she is also jacked. Her arms are toned and defined and large. For being that small,
for being 115.
Yeah, there's muscle
I'm
mass
not making
there.
fun at all. Like,
Yeah.
Totally. But at the same time, fitness does not equate to ability to fight. And it can be very deceptive. Some of the best fighters in the world do not have a six-pack.
Yep.
And it does come down to technique a lot. But not disparaging this in any way. If that's what I want people to walk away from this, because I want them to, number one, walk away, and number two, walk away feeling good about themselves, and number three, if they find a passion for fitness, that's even better. I do not want people being carried out of the ring.
Yeah.
And I think, but that's not really a concern for me in this weight class. It is always a concern. It's always dangerous. But I think this will be a good fight. I think it'll go until either someone taps or the distance, and I'm hoping it goes the distance, and I'm hoping that people can get some good entertainment out of this fight.
Abelina, I have seen some training videos, has started training since fall of 2022, has basically 3 days of boxing and then 3 days of strength training with 1 day off a week, but is also training with a fellow person who's training for CreatorClash. I forget which one. I think it's the one they're fighting Jack. I don't know. They're training with somebody else who's fighting in CreatorClash that I don't remember off the top of my head. But the emphasis in their training is their trainer is constantly making sure that their core is there. They're doing abs and punching them in the core. They're doing captain's chairs exercise and getting punched with boxing gloves by their trainer. Like, they are seriously focused on being able to take those body shots. For whatever reason, my advantage goes to Abelina because she is literally being punched by her trainer.
That's good.
The next one is Michelle Khare, I don't know how to pronounce it, versus Andrea Botez. Or it could be Botez. I don't know how to pronounce these, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing their names. Michelle is a YouTuber, television host, actress, and former professional cyclist. Insane fitness channel. She's done like the Navy SEALs training, trying to get through that. She's done SWAT Academy. She like an absolute fitness freak. Andrea is a chess player, a commentator who fought in the chess boxing of Ludwig as well, but is a Twitch streamer and YouTuber. I watched the video of the chess boxing, was distinctly winning the chess boxing in the boxing aspect. In fact, so much so that a lot of people, there was a controversial ending to where they thought she had gotten the standing count on the other opponent to knock them out to officially win before the other opponent got checkmate. But they definitely swing a little wild with a wide stance and not as protective. But they were basically chasing their opponent the entire time.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out who's Andrea and who's the opponent here in the chess boxing. Do you know if Andrea was wearing white or was wearing black? Dina. Oh, okay, black. Okay,
Black,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, definitely haymakers coming in.
Yeah.
Which are obviously dangerous to an untrained opponent, but I don't think the opponent is untrained in this case. The way you were saying with Navy SEALs training, very intense. Let me try to find more. Yeah, not keeping guard up, but still, like, against this opponent, doing quite well just because overwhelming with just keeping the attack up. And that can be a strategy in and all of itself. Work for dad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It reminded me of the dad fight last year.
Yeah, exactly. And that can happen. It's not like quite as intense. And they have headgear in this one, which honestly, I'd be fine if everyone wore headgear in this matchup. I'd be fine with that. And everyone else should be fine with that too.
I'm fine with it.
Protection and safety above all else.
If I could do it, I would opt to wear headgear. So
yeah, I would not go out without headgear. I wouldn't fight without headgear, and I'm not fighting anyway.
Yeah,
because I value my brain, and plus the weight class you and I would be in would be brain damage territory.
Yep.
I don't want to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, but when it comes down to like this, I haven't seen the other person fighting. Again, fitness doesn't always mean technical skill, but they are in a lighter weight class, and it's not. And again, I don't want anyone to think that I'm like with the illusion that a lighter weight class doesn't mean you can't get knocked out or you can't get hurt. That's not what I'm saying. It's just less likely. Just because physically there is less muscle throwing the punches, which equates to less power. It's why when you get into heavyweight boxing matches, it becomes deadly. It becomes dangerous. And that's why it can be exciting for a lot of people. That's why they like Mike Tyson in there. They like the heavyweight champs. George Foreman, all these people just like pile driving their way through punches, just eating up at like this stuff. And then, whoa, bam, one huge knockout. You see their head almost get torn off. It's exciting. But when it comes to lighter fights, that's why I want to really see the technical skill. And so, like, I'm seeing potential. I'm seeing potential with Andrea, and I'm seeing like there's definitely the will to fight and the will to attack. But when you got someone that's had Navy SEALs training, it's kind of hard to call.
This is a really difficult fight to decide. The only edge that I have is I've seen Andrea actually get hit a little bit and actually be in the ring, whereas Michelle did a boxing training camp last year, which reached 10 weeks in March of 2022, which leads me to believe that they have been training a long time in boxing and at least in martial arts. So for whatever reason, I lean towards Michelle in fitness. If it goes the distance, which it most likely will, I think Michelle has the advantage. But if Andrea can actually get a clean hit and a knockdown, I think Andrea might actually take the advantage there. The difference is who's going to be the aggressor, right? Is Michelle going to be passive and basically looking for counters and not throwing as many punches? Is Andrea going to be overly aggressive and throw punches like she did in the chess boxing? That's the ultimate deciding factor. If Andrea actually has a defense, I give advantage to Andrea. But at my current point in time, just based on the knowledge that I have, I really do believe Michelle has the advantage in this fight.
Okay.
The next one, we have TBD versus Chris Ray Gunn.
My money's all on TBD.
Listen, they're unknown. They're hard to hit.
That unknown factor, they're basically like a shadow. I can't get a read on them.
Exactly. But they could have a lot of holes in their defense for all we know. Who knows? For all we know,
yeah. For all the training Chris has done, I don't know. It's going to be tough. Uphill battle.
For sure.
All right, moving on. All right. Just a few left, right?
Yeah,
just two
this
left,
is the one that I'm most intrigued by. It's Johnny Elite or John Morrison versus Harley.
This fight scares me.
This fight terrifies me.
This fight really, really worries me.
Because John is a professional wrestler and actor who immediately after the fight last year was like, I think I can take Harley. The difference is, I don't know if you've seen Harley's body. Harley has toned down and looks ripped. Like he's taking it serious. I'm really glad to see that because John Morrison is ripped. An absolute tank of muscle, obviously basically a gymnast doing stunts with professional wrestling. The one thing I did see is John is training with an MMA fighter. Nothing against MMA, but MMA and boxing are distinctly different.
Yeah.
In the sense of how you have to defend yourself in boxing versus MMA. MMA, a lot of times you reach out because you want to be able to stop something and counter with it. And in boxing, that often opens you up for a secondary attack. On the stuff that I've seen, John has been training with Dad to some degree, but mostly with his MMA fighter trainer that I've seen. His MMA fighter can really throw, but his ability to defend himself, he looks a little bit exposed. He gets his hands a little wide and his elbows don't stay in. And that's the one concern I see with John is that aspect. He also has he's shorter and has less reach. Still not to the height of Harley.
I don't think very few people ever would. So I don't
Harley's
think that's
what, 6'7"?
6'7", something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
But The guy is athletic. He has power. He's been doing boxing for exercise for years and years and years. And he's a professional sports entertainer, so you know he's going to put on a show. And he's motivated. He wants to win. Because, in my opinion, he has more to lose if he loses this fight than Harley does.
I don't know about that. Again, it's just it's an exhibition, man. It's an exhibition.
I understand.
It's an exhibition, man.
I understand, but egos and public perception is a thing, and sometimes people get it in their head that he might have more of a mentality of a must-win desire.
I don't think anyone would have them going up against Harley and being like, "Oh, you should have beat him." It's like he's a giant. Who's gonna think of someone going up against Harley and be like, "Oh, what a wimp, am I right?" He got punched by a 250-pound sack of meat, like,
dude,
or 200-pound now apparently. But yeah, no, this fight just worries me. I'm not gonna call this one way or another, just because, yeah, I don't know how much they've trained. I don't know how much of John's training is going to translate over to boxing. I don't know how seriously they're going to take this.
Yeah.
That's why this fight scares me, just because there's a lot of unknowns, and it's in the territory where someone could get really, really hurt.
Because it's in that heavier weight class.
There's just too much power going behind these punches. And you're right. If ego, it's not even ego going in. When you're in a fight, adrenaline takes up, and if you get into this mode, which I'm sure John Hennigan knows and Harley probably knows as well, and you, like, the adrenaline starts pumping, you get pissed, it scares me.
Yeah. So
it just scares me.
This one is the one that I think has the most potential for an actual knockout. And that's terrifying.
100%.
Harley was throwing freight trains last year. He's been training massively for this fight. Knows he's going against somebody who's an absolute ripped, fit dude who's been doing boxing training for years. He even talked about being scared and worried about this fight because of the legit seriousness of the weight class that they're in.
Yes, exactly.
And the fact that he's taking it that way and has that fear, for whatever reason, gives me the mentality that he's going to be more prepared than his opponent. His opponent doesn't seem scared. He seems very driven and really believes in himself, and talked about it in an interview and has done interviews and different stuff like that. But Harley seems to be really taking this serious, really ready to protect himself for whatever reason, just because I've seen Harley fight before and seeing how serious he's being and his body transformation, he just has the advantage for me.
Yep.
Now we've got two more fights. We've got Jack Manifold and Dakota Olave, and then we have the main event, which is Alex Wasabi and iDubbbz.
Jack Manifold, Dakota Olave. I know neither of them.
Dakota is a TikToker. He fought in a previous boxing match, but it was like a weird circle. He did not look really fundamentally sound. I don't know the exact. I think it was like the TikToker boxing event. They didn't even fight in a square ring. It was like a circular ring, so it was really weird. But he's a TikToker and skateboarder. He definitely kept his hands really low throughout the fight, looked very unrefined, but he has experience in the ring. He has experience taking a punch. Jack has not, but both of them are lighter guys. They're both smaller guys. The advantage to me goes to Jack, just because I think he's been taking it a little more seriously, but it's hard to tell because neither of them have a lot out there. Oh, Jack did step into a ring with somebody. Tubbo. He hopped into a ring with Tubbo. There's a video of him fighting against Tubbo in a ring.
I don't know who that
I don't
is.
either.
All right.
So
then the main event.
Alex Wasabi versus iDubbbz.
Yeah, I'm looking up videos of Alex fighting. Very fast hands, very good fundamentals, good dodging. Does he have a lot of experience with boxing? Is he a boxer?
He fought Deji, so he has a 1-0 record officially boxing, because he fought in that event with I think that was the Logan and KSI fight.
Yeah.
And so his training videos, he had insane hand speed.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing. Very fast hands,
quick.
Very good footwork. Just his fundamentals seem incredibly sound, and I would like the reliability of those patterns can take you a long way. However, iDubbbz is insane.
Yeah, iDubbbz also has been training for a long time.
Also, he's out of his mind. That guy took so many hits and just kept coming back last year.
Oh my God. Against Mike, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, I would never put anyone out of a fight, especially that. Because what I'm seeing with Alex is speed, yes. Good technique, yes. He seems tired in some of these. I don't know how long he was fighting in these. That's what I do think a lot of it does come down to. I don't know, like he seems like they're fighting at 168.
Yep.
Like 5'11", 6'1". But the thing about these heights at this weight is that's very lean.
Yeah.
Like that's very lean for both of them. I know Idubbbz was at a higher weight class before. I think he was fighting 175. Last year he's fighting 168 now. Both of these guys seem fairly lean. And now that doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm expecting it does come down to conditioning. This fight is going to come down to conditioning. I bet you're going to see a lot of knockdowns. I bet you're going to see a lot of very heavy hits. This is a very in-between weight class where you get the speed and you get the power. You get both of them. It makes it for a very hard to predict fight. There's really no way to say one way or another where it could go, because I'm seeing Alex training. This is great stuff. Then again, I saw Idubbbz last year just getting walloped
and coming
smiling back. And coming back for more from Dr. Mike, who had like 10 years of experience boxing. And like that fight on paper had no right of being that close.
Yeah.
Between Dr. Mike and Idubbbz. So I literally cannot discount anything from Ian for this fight. No matter, like Alex was obviously here, I wouldn't want to fight him. I don't want to fight him. He's too quick for me. He'd run circles around me probably. Maybe if I could get a hit in, that'd be all I could say. But I don't know, man.
I will say Alex in some of the videos that I have seen has had his hands a little low, but that could have been because of fatigue, because even I know when I'm at the boxing gym, when I get fatigued, my hands tend to drop a little bit, but they're not like low. They're not like down. That's
all I'd say. Is that's why when I'm looking at these, I do see like he's obviously doing a lot of work, but he's getting tired. Of course he is. Anyone would be. So that's all I would attribute it to. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. This is going to be. It's a great match.
It is a great match.
I think
the size, speed, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think of all the opponents to pick, this is really, really a great matchup. One where you can't really lean one way or another. You've got the Idubbbz like insanity factor. You got the Alexes clearly honing in those fundamentals, clearly just working on the discipline of it all and the conditioning, because you don't work at that level, you don't fight, you don't practice at that level without getting in that level of shape, and that's fight level shape.
I honestly think this fight will come down to who ends up working the body better than the other. I think it's I think it's going to come down to who's doing more of the body hits, less so necessarily the number of hits. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who chops down the tree. I don't think it's going to like end in a knockout, but I for whatever reason, I think the body is the key in this fight.
I'm thinking TKO, but the other opponent has been knocked down 2 times as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for this one, because they're fast, they're powerful. It's going to be a lot of damage, even from body TKOs or body knockdowns.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it could be that I think someone's getting smacked in the head. I think it's Ian. I think Ian's getting smacked in the head. But I think Alex is going to start to get tired in the middle of it and then take some big wallops to the nog. I'm either totally off base and someone's getting knocked out first round, or this is like TKO third or fourth round. I don't think this one's going the distance just because I think there's going to be so much damage done.
Yeah. I think my advantage goes to Alex just simply because of the amount of hits I saw Idubbbz take last time. Both are really good at slipping. Both are really good at dodging. It's just, I think Alex might be able to connect a little bit more than Ian does. That's my call. It's a very difficult call. This is a coin flip.
This one.
So
yeah, I can't call this one at all.
Yeah, but it's an exciting matchup. I like the weight class that they chose. Both of them have serious hand speed. Both of them have had immense training. Both have worked really, really hard on their slips and rolls for defense and able to avoid hits and keeping their hands up. So this is going to be a true main event. I think this is a great main event. I think this is a great card. I like the lineup this year. There's some scary fights like we talked about with Harley, some interesting matchups between friends, and then you've got unknowns out of nowhere fighting each other that neither of them have really boxed before. And it's really, really exciting to see different people that you wouldn't necessarily think or even know of, like me and you, because we're both out of touch with a lot of the creator space, being able to step into the ring for this major charity event. And I think it's a great lineup, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I hope everyone's safe.
Yes.
Be safe out there.
Wear headgear if you want to.
Yeah, wear some headgear.
Seriously, protect your head.
Well, anyway, that does it for this episode.
It does. But you can go to the store, check out the new merch. We got pins, like I said last time, but now you can see us on video. This is the first video episode, so hopefully that's
yes, unless something went horribly wrong.
Unless something went horribly wrong. That would be my fault. It would 100% be my fault. But thank you, Mark. I'm excited I actually get to attend the event, by the way. I'll be there.
Yay.
You'll be there working the event, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are after the fact. So we're going to do a post show as well, but it might not be immediately after the event that comes out.
Yeah, I got to get back.
Yeah. So, but thank you all for listening. Make sure and follow the podcast wherever you follow, and we'll catch you next time.
It's free.
It is free. Listen free. Watch.
Tell
free.
people it's free.
It's free.
All free.
Everything's free except for the merch.
Yes. It's not free. That supports us.
Yeah, dude, we got to ship that. All right, elegant viewers. We'll see you next time. Bye.